Welcome to Heart Center Revolution podcast number 1. For our first podcast, we wanted to provide you with an introduction to who we are and what our intention for this podcast is.
So for who we are Jen and Ramtin Porvasi, and we are the founders of Heart Centered Revolution, an online platform for teaching Kundalini yoga and wisdom to live a more conscious and heart-centered life. For more information about that platform, you can visit heartcenteredrevolution.com.
Our intention for this podcast is to spread the word and the energy about Kundalini yoga, what Kundalini yoga is, and how we could utilize the technology, the science behind it, and the practice of it in our daily life to enhance our daily life and become a more conscious, living human being.
And we were talking and thinking about what our favorite parts of teaching Kundalini yoga is, and we love the discussions that naturally happen during classes. So when you teach a Kundalini yoga class, we all tune in with the sound Om Namo Gurudev Namo, and it links you to the line of teachers that come before you. And so it's like you're opening a vessel or opening a channel in your head. And as you're teaching, just this wisdom and knowledge and information comes through. And it's almost like the students are pulling it out of you from the teachers that have come before you. It's really an amazing experience to be in the flow like that. And we wanted to experiment with sharing that on a podcast so that more than just the people in the room could benefit from it. So that's kind of our original intention, is to take a live class that we've taught and then add any explanation or context that might be needed and put that out as a podcast, because it's such a special experience that we want more people to have the opportunity to have.
And hopefully with these podcasts and what we share on it, not only would help those who are not familiar with Kundalini yoga, but also those who have some experience and want to learn more or other aspects of Kundalini yoga that they may have not come in contact with or learned about in classes, and also be able to provide support for maybe teachers out there who are starting to teach Kundalini yoga and share this technology.
Yeah, it's definitely like you go to classes, you go to Kundalini yoga classes and you do the practice and the meditations, but it's a completely different thing to take that practice home with you in your day-to-day life. And that's one of our passions, is figuring out not only how do you practice yoga on the mat in a class, but how do you bring it home with you? How do you use the yoga teachings and wisdom when you're working on your business, or when you're speaking with your family, or when you're driving in your car? And so that's a big passion of mine, is how to make these practices realistic and things that you can implement in your day-to-day life. And that's why we include a 3-minute pranayama at the end of each podcast. So pranayama is a breath practice. And those are easy ways, easy things that you can implement while you're walking around, doing the dishes, things like that, so that you can interweave these practices throughout your day and see the maximum benefits that way. And we start these practices in this podcast. So at the end of this podcast, we're going to do 3 minutes of long, deep breathing together.
So before we go any further, we want to tell you more about us and who we are. We are both Kundalini yoga teachers, and we met actually during our teacher's training course, and we have been married for
almost 6 months.
Almost 6 months now, and by the time this podcast is out, it'll be longer.
Aww.
Again, my name is Ramtin Porvasi. I'm a hypnotherapist. I also do healing energy, Reiki. I'm a Reiki practitioner and teach yoga, Kundalini yoga. I was born in Iran and came to U.S. about when I was 12, 13 years old, and I've been living in California ever since, and currently I live in Orange County and teach at the Seven Chakra Yoga in Huntington Beach, California.
My name is Jennifer McNally, soon to be Pravasi. I haven't gotten around to changing my name yet, but it'll happen soon. I'm also a certified Kundalini yoga teacher, and I teach sporadically because I still work as a full-time clinician or clinical supervisor. So I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, so I've studied psychology quite a bit. But I found that after completing my master's in clinical psychology, there was just more of the human experience that I wanted to understand. I loved studying that and learning about the mind and feelings and how our family dynamics can impact us. But there was just so much of the human experience was unexplained by psychology. So I continued my studies into mindfulness and Buddhism and was eventually invited to a Kundalini yoga class and was just amazed by how I felt afterwards. And I had to learn more. I had to understand what the heck was happening to me and how this thing worked, because clearly if in an hour-long class I could see or feel that big of a difference in my levels of stress and my sense of well-being, there had to be a knowledge there behind it and a purpose behind it. And so I felt compelled to take teacher training. And it was such a transformative experience, both personally and in my life, because I met Ramtin there. And as he alluded to, we got married, almost 3 or 4 years after teacher training. So it took us a while. We're not ones to rush into anything. But it's been such a lovely process. I feel like a different person. Like I've always evolved year to year, but really the time before teacher training and then who I am afterwards, there's so much more clarity and connection and self-love since the teacher training course. Kind of off on a tangent, but that was an important part of my life. I still work as a licensed clinical supervisor in the mental health field, and I love my job, but I'm feeling called to teach more yoga and move more into this world. So Heart-Centered Revolution is currently a passion project, but we would love to, if people are interested and like it, we would love to grow it into a business. That would allow us more time and resources to be able to share the teachings that have been so transformative in our lives. So the next thing we wanted to share a little bit, and this is kind of the last thing we're going to talk about, is what we mean by heart-centered revolution. It actually can mean something different to every single person out there. If you are listening to this podcast and have made it this far, this concept probably means something to you. But we wanted to share a little bit about what it means to us.
Yes, so heart-centered revolution for us, it's a step towards becoming who we truly are as human beings and not operate only through one aspect of who we are, which is through the head brain, and to become more of the creator we are and connect to each other through that heart center, through our heart brain. As we become more heart-centered, we go beyond just feeling and emotion. We tap into the consciousness of connection to our higher self, our source, and be able to create that unity, that oneness on planet Earth through that heart connection and becoming a heart-centered person.
So for me, heart-centered revolution is more of the revolution that we're all experiencing, that we need to evolve. It's more of an evolution, I guess, but a revolution also. But we need to evolve out of our current way of being. And I see it happening every day. I see it in people I've known for 10 years all of a sudden being interested in spirit and meditation and softening up a little bit and not being as negative or angry. I see it in them. I see it in the younger generation. They're so open and they're so connected and they're so divinely guided. So I see it all over the place, all this evidence that we are evolving out of the Piscean age of competition, of strategizing, of being inauthentic, of lacking compassion, and we're moving into this Aquarian age of having compassion, feeling our connection to the infinite, feeling our connection to one another, and using those connections to guide us through our life. And how you do that is by listening to your heart and using your heart center to guide you and tell you where to go, and using your mind to help you figure out how to get there. That's the correct balance, is to follow your heart, follow your soul, and use your mind as a tool, because that's all it is it's a tool to help you get where you want to go. And if enough of us do that, then we can profoundly change the way we experience life on this planet. And it will be a revolution and an evolution. And that is what Heart-Centered Revolution symbolizes for me. And by putting this podcast out and putting these teachings out there, that's our little piece. If we can help one person trust themselves, trust that inner voice, strengthen their heart, trust their intuition, and move forward that way and interact with other people that way, then it will have been worth it. That will have been the point. Because a revolution can start with one person. It starts with just a handful of us. And then we'll grow to be a tipping point. So that's it.
And as we say in Kundalini Yoga, Waheguru.
Waheguru, yeah, that means amazing. Like, isn't this amazing? Waheguru.
Yeah. So we're really looking forward to bringing more information, having discussions, and be able to share our, inner wisdom and inner knowledge, but also what we learn each and every day by not just studying and learning, but also experiencing and practicing this technology, and be able to have a deeper connection and with you, the listener, and each other, to be able to continue on the path of, as Jen said, our evolution and expansion of our consciousness. And I always say this, that every day is a miracle. Every action, the functionality of our systems, our brain, our nervous system, our glandular system, how everything is really a miracle that has come to existence for us to be able to experience this life. And as above, so below, and as below, so above, we are here to live for that higher consciousness, that source energy. And as we expand our consciousness, we expand on the existence of the universe and that the spirit. And as we tap into that energy and align with that energy, we are able to become more of who we are in this lifetime. So yes, we are really looking forward to being here and having this communication with you, teaching and learning as we go along.
And now we will transition into our pranayama. So please only take the actions that I recommend if they're safe for you. If you're driving, you'll of course need to modify. You don't want to close your eyes or anything. So please sit up straight or stand up straight. Elongate your spine. You can tuck your chin just a little bit so the back of your neck opens up. Relax your shoulders down. Let's take a couple of breaths, just natural breaths. Then on your next inhale, let's focus on inhaling all the way down, deep down into the bottom of your navel, filling up your belly like a big Buddha belly. And then as you exhale, pushing the navel all the way in, emptying out all of the air, navel to spine. Let's inhale the belly full again. Exhale, belly to spine. Beautiful. Let's add the ribs. Inhale, belly full. Once your belly is full, expand the ribs, bring air into the chest region. Then exhale, close your ribs. Bring the belly back to spine. Empty out all the air. Inhale, belly, ribs. Now taking one more little puff of air, bringing air into, or breath into the clavicle and shoulders. Exhaling, shoulders down, upper chest compresses, ribs come in. Lastly, navel to spine, emptying all the air out. Inhaling, belly, ribs, and chest. Exhaling, chest, ribs, and belly. So continue this wave-like motion on your own, knitting them together. So we've been piecing them apart as though they're three separate things, but they are not. It's one fluid wave-like motion that starts at your sacrum, at the bottom of the spine, at your pelvic floor, and floats all the way up to your tippy tops of your shoulders. So inhaling bottom to top. Exhaling top to bottom. Beautiful. Continue at your own pace. Keep this long, deep breath and check in with your posture. Open up your heart center, set your shoulders back and down. Gently tuck your chin. Close your eyes if you haven't already. You can focus your eyes at the third eye if you like. Inhaling deeply, a wave from the bottom of your body to the top. Exhaling completely, another wave from the top to the bottom. Let's take two more together. Inhaling deeply. Exhaling completely. Inhaling deeply. Exhaling completely. Beautiful. Take one deep inhale. Suspend your breath. Pull up on your pelvic floor. Feel energy. Squish your whole body tight like a tube of toothpaste. Feel energy move up the center of your body, out the crown of the head. Close your eyes. Focus your eyes at the third eye. Relax your breath. Relax your shoulders. Relax your face muscles. Let the breath come in and out as it naturally does. Beautiful, yogis. So that's long, deep yogic breath. It's long, deep breathing, sometimes called 3-part yogic breath. Breathing like this is known to calm the mind, balance the emotions, and harmonize the body, mind, and spirit. If you can do this breath even just a few minutes each hour throughout your day, you are an exceptional yogi indeed. It's hard to remember to do. But just remember that this breath practice is in your mind now. You know how to do it, and it can be your backup or your go-to when you're in moments that you need to calm your mind a little bit and balance yourself out. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice. And that's it for our first podcast. As you listen, please provide us with questions or suggestions of things to cover, and email us at Ramtin, RAMTIN, at heartcenteredrevolution.com, and Jen at heartcenteredrevolution.com. Jen, Jen, like Jennifer. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen so you can get new podcasts delivered to you automatically. We love you so much and remind you to be revolutionary.
See you next time.